The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence.
We come off of a race at the Nashville Superspeedway, which was one for triple bypass history and not for the good side with 16 cautions. But now we head up north into my head of the world in New England for the New Hampshire Motor Speedway at the Magic Mile. Welcome everybody to PTR TV for today's coverage, and we are going to cut immediately to a recap of that hurricane event at Nashville Superspeedway. So before we get today's race underway, let's go summarize up what happened last week.
On June 15th, 2025, the Triple Bypass Nichols Oil Pros Series brought the action to Nashville Superspeedway for a chaotic 120-lap event packed with drama. With 4 different leaders, 3 lead changes, and a staggering 16 cautions. This one was all about survival and sharp timing. The race was sponsored by Jared Jackson, and the Action Academy 120 was streamed live by our friends at Primetime Racing TV.
And at it, let's go racing here from Nashville.
Indeed, yeah,
we're already wrecking in the back. We're already wrecking. Oh no!
To these drivers.
We're going again.
There's a slide right there.
That's Nick Jones and somebody. Oh, we're still not done yet. 29, Derek Catt. You'd think it's raining here. Kyle Grush, death wobble. Big Wiggle Hospital wobble. Points leader, Steve McClendon. Even the points leader struggling. Oh, come on. He's going in the direction of Alvaro Levine's career, which is downward into a death and spiral as Dylan Freeman is into the fence and bringing out another yellow. Commentator Kerr, save it, don't hook, it hooked.
And then he just got a little bit of a love tap in the back.
Still suck side by side. Dylan Freeman went 3 wide, and what in the world happened to the outside? And it'll bring another caution out. That's the league sponsor, Tex Nichols. That's Jeremy Brown. So that was and there goes Avril's career again. She had a resurgence, and it's all for naught. That's not what we want to see, Patrick. And we have an insta-tow in the form of Daniel Williams. And that will be interrupted by Mark Herzog, who is dead sideways middle of the track and evading high and low. I'm trying to plead some drama. I'm trying to create some excitement, guys. Let me make this exciting. That's all I ask. Patrick, look at the stint on Sean Bradley, 54 laps. Never mind. Trying so hard, folks. I'm trying where he was. Oh, for Pete's sake, my gosh. I'm trying to call a battle for the lead, and we can't do it. Sure, getting loose off of 2. He went off. There's Alan Kunman. And so this is like a 3-part incident, really. Survived the carnage. He survived the mayhem that is the Action Academy 120. Sean Bradley is going to win here in Nashville.
Sean Bradley, driving car 77, stayed cool, under pressure, and emerged from the carnage to claim victory after leading for 36 laps. Congratulations, Sean. We hope you enjoyed this Triple Bypass Nichols Oil Pro Series recap. We'll see you next time.
All right, we are back here after that race summary of last week, and as you can see on the timer, we are already heading straight down trackside for that PTR TV starting lineup. So, of course, I haven't even introduced him yet, but Corey Silva pressing the buttons and doing the lead commentary, and I got Brad Dalton here, obviously helping out with the calls, Brad. So we'll have our little shindig in a little bit, but let's have you go down trackside and start today's race off for us.
And kicking things off here, roundy turn lefty on pole. It's Ty E. Bass, and the E stands for excellently in the front row with Chad Bear bearing it all there with the Big Ridge boys there in second place. Jared Jackson goes P3. Matthew Robinson goes fourth place. From there we go number 5 with Brad Kress and Timothy O'Connor in sixth place. From there we go seventh, Dylan Freeman and Ben Harkin P8. From there ninth place, Steve McClendon with Kyle Dewey being in P10.
And 11th, we find Michael Hopkins and the boss man Al Corey in the 12th position. 13th, we have Keaton Carruthers, a Canadian, then Brian Dickens in the 14th spot. Mark Herzog in 15th, and Nick Jones in 16th. William Emmert in 17th with our Aussie native John Campbell going to be rolling off P18. And then P19, we have John Naj Crutchley there out of North Carolina, and the Martinsville native, Mr. Matt Harmon.
From there we go 21st, Anthony Suarez in the Tide 023. Mark Jarrell in 22nd place. From there we're going to go 23rd, Elton Woo in a Sonic car. I tell you what, Sonic's been good lately. 24th, Dominic Zanobi, the Florida man there. Cameron Kane in 25th. Michael C. Moore, I see him in 26th. We'll see if we see more from him today. Daniel Williams in 27th. Ward Fisher fishing his way out of 28th place. We'll see how far he can go. Jason Benson in 29th. And Tex Nichols, the boss man himself there, the league sponsor there of this Sunday night series, all the way back shotgun on the field.
All right, that is our PTR TV starting lineup here for the Lobster Crawl 115. That is the race we have going on here today from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. 115 laps around this place. Our race sponsor for the day, of course, we have the league sponsor with Tex Nichols, but our race sponsor is going to be the number 34 of Matthew Robinson. He is the one responsible for the name The Lobster Crawl. Of course, they win Loudon the Lobster. They win a live lobster when they win a race here. So maybe he is a lobster fan. Very quickly, as we head into 3 and 4, you can see our point standings. Steve McClendon leading by 14 over Jared Jackson. Brad Kress 15 further back from him, so on and so forth as we etch our way closer and closer to the playoffs. But we'll have one pace lap, which is already at its conclusion, and let's get today's festivities from New England underway. Barney has the flag in hand and in the start zone, and let's go racing from Loudon.
They're going to head into 1 and 2, looking good here up in the front. Ty E. Bass trying to hold off Chad Bear, a very, very fast car there. Around 1 and 2 they go. Out of 2 we go and keep things together there. Jared Jackson and Matthew Robinson trying to sort things out there. Back in the background, several drivers going 2 wide, 3 wide, but everybody up front settling it out single file. That's down around 1. Mr. J.C. John Campbell there on the 117 going through with the in and out, looking to go low to go out. That is Nick Jones in the 111.
Of course, these guys still learning the next gen car. We're 2 weeks out since the updates, and of course last week was quite the chaotic race, as we've already alluded to and you saw in our race intro. The physics of this car updated, and last week we were at a mid-banked intermediate, and now we are at a flat 1 mile paperclip. So see how these drivers can navigate the grooves here at Loudon. Quite awkward as we go on board here with Timothy O'Connor from our Whiplash on-board camera. You can see right there, down there on the flat, right on that blue line, 0 degrees of banking there. And then it goes up progressively to around 9 or 10 degrees of banking through different grip levels of surface. Loudon is really a big hodgepodge. But you will see drivers shifting. You'll see drivers running high, running low, and doing a lot of different corner entry and corner exit approaches, Brad.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks that everyone's going to just figure out what they like and make it work. This is a track that you can drive a few different ways and be comfortable with it, I feel like, just depending on how you feel. But, we call it the Magic Mile because it tends to produce magic where it's at here, and Triple Bypass is a league that loves to be magical in any way they can. Back here with one Mr. John the Naj Crutchley trying to run things through with Elton Woo in the Sonic car. And let's see here if that Sonic number 5 can go low, as he does. And it looks like you can see some side-by-side action here, as by the way, Sonic has pickle flavor as their special right now. So
that
if you're
is,
a pickle
that
fan,
is the
there
hood
you go.
there, because if you saw the Cup Series race, that was actually Ty Gibbs' sponsor yesterday. What does that say? Chill out, eat a pickle. I will say I went to Popeyes a few weeks ago, and I did see pickle lemonade on the menu. Perhaps taking this a little bit too far, but, everyone has their taste, their desires.
You don't like pickle boba? Come on now.
I mean,
a pickle slushy with pickle boba?
It's taken me 30 years to even acquire the taste for the pickle, to the point where right now I can eat one. Normally I would be this little Karen that takes it back and says, remake my burger. But that is a podcast topic of which we don't have, but Brad is pushing me to get maybe one of these days. But here comes a battle. Our race sponsor, our race sponsor for this week, Matthew Robinson, trying to pass last week's race sponsor, Jared Jackson, in the 12. He sponsored last week's Action Academy 120 at the Nashville Super Speedway. But look at Robinson trying to use that higher lane, a little bit more banking there. He can get on the throttle a little bit quicker, but then got a little bit loose, maybe a little bit too much throttle on corner exit, but he's going to take a dive here into turn 3.
I think the setup is interesting this week too, looking at it. Some of the guys are going to shift, some of the guys aren't. Really just depends on how they're feeling. Really, this is a 4th gear setup that they've got tuned in this week. Some guys might be downshifting into 3rd through the corner, just depending on how they're feeling. Again, what they're looking at. This is a track that you may look to do something a little bit different, as Steve McClendon there will get underneath the 78 of Ben Harkham, and the Dr. Pepper car goes through as he is looking good. Let's see here how he dives into 3, and you can see again just sort of sticking behind the action, and down into 3rd gear goes McClendon. He is just working his way through and work his way up the gears here, as you can see everything coming across on the dash and down in the bottom right, depending on where you want to look, but just up into 4th and then right back down into 3rd through the corners. McClendon's fast, so I say if he's doing 3rd, it's probably a good note to take.
Yeah, we were privy to a little bit of insight from league owner Al Corey there, and he did say that the tire fall off would be roughly 0.8 to a second, about losing about 30% of their tire wear in about 40-ish laps. Expecting about 70 laps here today, because again, our race details as follows: 115 laps, which is a skosh over 115 miles, 3 sets of Goodyears, and the custom fixed sets 80% fuel load. So it will be one stop. It's just a matter of when you want to make it here, as we are looking to put somebody a lap down. That is Cameron Kane in the Aflac car. He is now going 2 laps down. Not sure if something happened to him or if he joined the session late, actually. I'm getting a trigger of a potential event. That is an event. And oh no, that was an event.
That was a hard hit to the inside wall there, but no caution. Barney, I guess, is taking a snooze after last week. He's decided he doesn't want to look at
I think he
caution
needed
flag again.
shoulder reconstructive surgery, rotator cuff surgery. I think that's what it's called, after waving the flag 16 times last week. So, but thus far, completely different can of worms here at Loudon. And remember, Brad, with the physics update at play, the aerodynamics have become much more prominent. So you see Kyle Dewey here. He got right in the wake of the 78 of Ben Harkham, and you saw him immediately get tight. The aero push is much, much worse, and Loudon is not the easiest track to get into a different lane to evade that dirty air.
Yeah, and it's one of those that I've seen mixed opinions on it. I maybe I'm looking in the wrong places, and Corey, you can correct me on this, but I've seen opinions on the feedback of how the car is performing now in iRacing and what everyone thinks of it. But I will tell you right now that if you take the time, you sit down, there is a big difference. And, one of the things in sim racing is when something updates, you got to take the time and learn it. And as you can see, everybody in this league, especially after last week, has really sat down and learned this car and taken the time to figure this car out. And they're all in a good position right now. Everybody seems to be running pretty well and holding on, doing what they can. And Chad Bear there 0.3 of a second off, and looks like the number 31 there trying to keep things not complicated.
May have had a little bit of a insert pun here, but we talked about Avril's death spiral career last week. A little bit of contact into Dewey. Dewey with the save, and then Hopkin may have gotten into the 31 as well. Another save by him, but lost about 4 spots in that shuffle, but everybody continues on.
Yeah, that is not the way you want to do things here. Side by side, JC John Campbell further back, going side by side with, I believe that is one Mr. Matt Harmon, if I'm not mistaken, that number 28 down low.
Moly, he is going all the way for nobody will get BR anymore, but the Reddick line here, which I will say, if you watch the 2024 Loudon race, they actually were running the wall line, which just baffles everything about New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Because what actually happened, they used to seal coat this place, and you can kind of see the iRacing did model it within the textures here. You can see where the black looks like it's wore out and it's lighter. So all the way up where the wall is, there's actually seal coat there, and drivers have found that they can actually get some grip up there. And somebody who needs grip is the number 28 of Matt Harmon.
That was a hard hit. Barney, shoulder workout number 1 of the day. That's a caution because that was a hard hit there from Harmon. I don't know who he took. It was Naj. He took Naj with him there. So he was right on that seam between runs.
Yeah.
And then that's a weird little bounce off the wall, though. It's almost like he broke something in the right front coming off the wall.
Yeah, he just got loose. It corrected, and then Naj took a pretty heavy-duty lick.
On board with Naj here. Yeah, just straight to the wall at that point. Right to the scene, and nothing Naj could do, unfortunately. Just a innocent bystander in that.
Luckily for these drivers here in Triple Bypass, they are privied and able to use a backup car. So a little earlier than you may want to use it, but better to have it and use it early than to not use it at all. And Cameron Kane will be able to get one of his laps back. You can see he's already itching on that outside lane to use that free pass. But 18 laps in, 3 sets of tires on the wall. Will this be a time to put one of those sets on? And the answer is seeming to be no by basically everybody. No takers into the pit lane, maybe in the far back. You can see Campbell going in there. We're just following him, so maybe just topping off. I'd say a little too early to put the tires on. Actually, he has a little bit of damage on the front of that Krispy Kreme automobile.
Yeah, just a little bit knocked off there. Can just sort of elbow that back into place, though. NASCAR pit crews are built different. You look at road racing. Of course, Patrick filled in last week, and his big love is road racing. You look at that, you take a little bit of damage, and sometimes it's game over. But in NASCAR, you fling the elbow.
Yeah, Zenobi, he's become one with another vehicle. Yeah, I don't see any triggers for it on my system here, so unfortunately can't see what that is, but either way, we will keep on going here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. First caution, we will have our stage. I already reiterated it once, but I'll reiterate it twice because we both tend to forget, as well as the fans at home. The stage will be at lap 45, which means it'll actually be at the end of lap 44, so this will give us roughly a 20 lap stint, a little 20 lap sprint to get to that point.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun little stint too, especially considering just how the drivers have ran to this point. Seems like everyone's really kind of got the handle, tracks, playing well. Everyone seems to be just having a good time right now, and I say getting to the stage here around the Magic Mile will be fun. So I'm sure Chad Bear is going to be looking to give a good run to Ty Ebass as I don't know what the E stands for right now, but he certainly looks in control up in front.
Yeah, I think literally I should probably get like a dictionary page on my laptop and just have the words that start with E, because I can't come up with any. But there's Timothy O'Connor. I think O is, it's part of the name, but we can always spoof on that one too. We like to have some fun here, of course. Be serious, but have some fun in the delivery of it. That's the name of the game here on PTR TV. But the name of the game right now is going into the Echo Park restart zone, and first official restart of the day is in order. On that loud pedal is Bass. He will get the significant jump over second place, Chad Bear. And Bear is going to have to fight with Matthew Robinson, our race sponsor.
And Matthew Robinson going to be looking to have a good showing here. When you sponsor a race, you really want to have fun, and see he's there just to the low side of Chad Bear. Let's see how he does on the inside of 3, but a little slow off the exit of 2. Not going to be able to give any run there. He's going to look a little bit higher this time to Chad Bear, but all the way up there is going to be one Mr. Ben Harkham in the Dr. Pepper car running up on the high line, doing something a little bit different, mix things up, and lap 21 is now in the books.
Yeah, no one can stop him. He was all the way up there in turns number 3 and 4, and it's the only thing that could stop him is some arrow push and maybe the wall, but side by side in front of him, that'll stop him as well. That is McClendon to the outside, that is Dewey to the inside, and they remain side by side. You can see kind of using those different seams, and you will see drivers straddle the seams trying to get that grip, trying to find that grip, which as this track heats up, we didn't talk about weather. The weather is static, so we'll bring it up once because it's not going to change. 100-degree track temp is a little toasty, and still that heat of the sun, and it will stay heat of the sun. We aren't going to get any shade or anything like that, so what they got is what they got.
Yeah, and that's always, an interesting position to find yourself in, is what you got is what you got. And, some drivers love it, some drivers hate it, but it does make things interesting when all is said and done. Al Corey here trying to have a run and make himself a big deal here with the in-and-out car. Let's see what he can do there. Is he going to go in? Is he going to go out? Well, he's going to go right down the middle, be the pickle in the sandwich, if you will.
Yeah, trying to do that. Al Corey, 58 years old here, trying to figure out where he's going. Herzog just in front of him. Keaton Crothers, we haven't talked about him here today, but he is just ahead of that. We have another battle going on. That's Brad Cresp, and that is Timothy O'Connor. Timothy O'Connor, that 119, looking to the inside, trying to take that 5th position away. And you can just see the different lines at play all the way down on the flat. Straddle on the seam is Crest. Crest going to get that momentum off of the corner. But you can see top of the shot, battle for the lead is loading and impending right now, because Bear is getting closer and closer to Bass, and they're running identical lines. So at this point, Bass, you might have to mirror drive and put that dirty air on that 91's nose.
Now let's see what happens here in the 1 and 2. So he goes through, and you can see Chad Bear slightly later entry into 1 and 2, just trying to find any little bit of edge that he can on the on-edge Camaro ahead. And let's see what he can do here as they go into 3 and 4. It looks like still holding on, gap 3/10 and settling in, and just trying to find his way through on the exit there. Side by side in the background there is that 51 of Steve McClendon getting pressured by Timothy O'Connor, and O'Connor hitting the wall.
Yeah, a little kiss there to that outside safer barrier down the straightaway, but no harm, no foul. He really didn't even lose anything out of it there. And while this side-by-side is happening, there's a big wiggle, but he saved it. And then we have Hopkins and we have Dewey. They are battling 9th and 10th right now. Dewey will suffice and surrender that position with relative ease. And let's go a little bit further back, find some drivers who are spinning out. Brian Dickens being one of those.
And Brian Dickens tried to save it there. Looked like he got pretty close to saving it, all things considered, but unfortunately still on the track surface, and that will throw the caution. Let's see what happened to him here as he was behind side-by-side action.
Fisher. Ward Fisher was, we'll go on board very quickly here.
Was very slow.
I'm going to scroll back a little further here, because, this is all for position. Not as if Fisher was off the lead lap, but he was not expecting Fisher to enter the corner that slow, or kind of that abruptly slow, and luckily very minimal collateral damage there. But we will jump back to live footage, and I think that is Dylan Freeman coming to the pits, being a Lone Ranger. The only guy at FYE to buy the Avril album. He is the only one in pit lane. As soon as I say that, a couple more stragglers have also decided to buy the physical copy of a CD. We got this 117. We got Zenobi, Williams, Alani. Well, he's not driving a Penn State car this week. I don't know what any of that is, but it is a pretty spiffy looking ride.
You don't know what Alani is?
The only thing hip about me is the fact that it hurts every day.
I'll give you that one. So Alani is an energy drink. It's a vegan energy drink specifically, but Cosmic Stardust, that's a good flavor. That's a good choice of flavor.
Well, energy drinks are just so all over the place. There's just a bajillion and a half energy drinks, so it's really, it's local. I mean, there's what you have here. I don't have a Victory Fuel, and that's big on our other series. I don't have that over here in New England, so. But I know you can go to this convenience store and buy it elsewhere.
So technically, Alani is considered a high-quality nutritional supplement.
They sell it at GNC.
Energy drink. So technically,
they sell it at GNC, which is the vitamin store, which is a store that I don't frequent. But either way, little inadvertent sponsor plug there for these guys. But looks as though we are on 1 to green. Our ticker didn't denote the change of 1 to green, but we are on 1 to green nonetheless. It so appears. So Bass was losing his edge. Bear was starting to bear closer. Had to do that. But again, our stage will be at the end of lap number 44, so only has to muster a little bit further up. You got those two on the front. You got the 12 of Jackson and Robinson in row 2, McClendon and Kress, row number 3, Brad.
Let's see, here's Ty E. Bass with the E standing for Elegant coming out of the Echo Park restart zone. Gets his way going down into 1 and 2. He's going to go, and he has an eccentric lead there as he goes along. And we're already spinning. That's a big spin there from, I believe, I'm not sure who that was, but that's going to cause a chain reaction.
Yeah, I think Alani just went around, and Tex is around as well. We'll stick with our turn 2 cam. Oh, he just got loose on his own, and then you could just see them all wadding up here behind, I think, in a reactionary sense. There goes Tex around. There goes that Alani car we were just focusing on to get one more perspective from that number 34. See, he just had a bobble on the brakes. There goes, Tex just cut. Tex would have no luck if it wasn't for bad luck. Just like last week at I don't know if it caught in that recap video. I think it did. Tex Nichols was just cruising along. Car spun to the inside. The car net coated out. Was completely out of the world, and as soon as Tex drove by, the car respawned into the world and sent him into the shadow realm there. So just not good luck for our series sponsor, but again has the luck of a backup car. There goes Robinson in the pits. Tex is in the pits as well. We'll see if it does that magic pop, which implies the fast repair, or if he is going to try to put some damage repair into that Mustang.
Let's see what he does here as he pulls in last pit stall and stops, and
no magic pop. So he's going to put in
hopefully
the repair.
He didn't already have to use it.
Nope, he didn't use it yet. It would trigger there in that category. So actually, yes, it doesn't look too bad. So I'm just double checking here. I think the timing sheet will show Brad if he did use it, and yeah, he did not. So apparently he got off a little easier than we even expected, but I think that's our 3rd caution of the day, if memory serves. And again, we still have that stage, so every time a caution comes out, that just creates that urgency towards the stage that much higher here, as less and less laps to get to that point.
Yeah, and again, we're expecting a one-stop race on a green flag run where 70 laps of fuel is what we're expecting. So I mean, we should be good on a one stop. The question is just when, and that's fuel. Tire wear we know is high. Tire wear is going to be the big question of the night.
Yeah, we've been told about 7/8 tenths of fall off. The grip, you can maintain speed with difficulty. The grip will go, but if you are good, you can kind of still run some modest lap time. So we'll see what happens. And like you said, maybe a caution or two to save, but they should, based on what we're told, be able to finish this after the stage. I bet we'll see some top-offs just in case, but the pace car is in. We got about 9 laps to get to our stage intermission. Green flag in the air, and I'll tell you, Bear did a fabulous job on that outside lane, staying relatively close. He's going to drive on in there, try to get to the quarter panel. Bass, it will clear, but I expect a potential crossover here on corner exit. No, a little bit too much throttle, got a little loose and wheel spin.
Yeah, it was certainly worth the effort there from Chad Bear, and a great run there from him to try to take on Ty Bass, but just not able to at the moment. Now I think he needs to go defensive on Jared Jackson, but he's going to have a run there on Ty coming out 4. Let's see, can he make a run into 1 and 2? And it looks like Chad Bear just settled in at the moment, not able to get the pass, but man, he had a great run there through 3 and 4.
Just trying to get that left front a little bit lower. Big wiggle there, and oh no, we got Brad Kress.
And that's a savior there for Ty Bass.
Yeah, that was a crossover in the making for Chad Bear there, but let's see what happened to Brad Kress. Same corner exit spin. A little bit of damage there, but yeah, no. But we'll get back to live footage, not to B-roll. We'll get back to live footage. And this race starting to... And I talked about the urgency there, Brad. You know, these guys want the stage points. They want that positioning. You know, obviously looking into playoffs later in the season. So every position, every point matters, especially if you've had bad luck in recent weeks, which a lot of people had bad luck last week. So as the urgency cranks up, you become more and more likely to have issues, as opposed to if you just have a long green run.
Yeah, it's such a weird situation to find yourself in whenever you get in this sort of caution brings caution situation, because it's such a mindset flip here. Out Corey into the pits, which is interesting to see here, because we are coming up on stage. So I kind of wonder
maybe try to flip the stage.
Yeah, I was going to say, I got to wonder if he's just trying to flip the stage there and go through. It's an interesting decision there. If he is, it may work out well for him.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't pay attention too much to the lap timings there to see, you know, where he was in relation to the pole lap, but we do know clean air will buy you time. If you're a tenth or two slower than the guy behind you, if you put the dirty air on his nose, you may be able to make something out of it. Someone who's trying to make something out of their race, Naj there in that number 48, now 1 lap in arrears. Cameron Kane has taken it behind the wall, so if John can not have any issues between now and about 6 laps, he'll get another free pass and be back on the lead lap.
See here as they come through, that lead lap would be so important. I'm trying to look through and see if I can tell where lap times are falling off for who, where, and it seems like just at the moment, looking around at times, I mean, it's not bad in terms of lap history. So like if we look at Ty Bass and his lap times, I mean 29.74 is his best lap, and he was running before this last caution like a 30.3 30.4. So I mean, not bad in terms of pace for our race leader.
Yeah, and we'll see, you know, if Al Corey and, you know, some of those drivers to the back of the field, if they try to flip the stage, maybe they don't have the pace, but they'll have the clean air. Will that have a tangible effect? It is hard to pass here. Not a lot of places to evade that dirty air, so that may be something. Flipping that track position be the utmost importance here at Loudon. But we'll have about 4 laps to the stage, and Well, let's get it going one more time. Jared Jackson did a great job getting to the inside of Chad Bear. Will he be able to take advantage of that positioning? Answer is no. Bear will drive it in and clear him on that outside, and he's going to try to take advantage of the situation here, try to get by Ty Bass before a potential yellow comes out, or just a stage break.
Yeah, let's see if Chad Bear has anything to give through. Jared Jackson, I think, is going to be a great competition. Steve McClendon, they're also looking to make a pass. And down on the inside, you got the colorful car on the low end is the 51 here, battling it out hard. Let's see what he can give through from Timothy O'Connor as they go side by side. Give just enough room. Watch that corner-to-corner tap, and they keep it moving, keep it grooving. Big wiggle from Chad Bear.
Got loose off the corner and did the same thing that we saw with, I think it was Robinson, if I'm not mistaken. Got loose off the corner and it just kind of fishtailed down the straightaway, eventually into the safer barrier. You could see the damage to the right front of that 3-Chi Camaro there, but I don't think that'll be of too much hindrance to him as we come to 2 laps to go. McClendon still hanging on by a fender there over Timothy O'Connor as we come down the back straightaway, and a fair and comfortable lead for Ty Bass.
And caution is out, lap 42.
Zanobi and John Campbell down the back stretch, and this should encompass the stage.
And coming around here, and that's a hook.
Who was that?
So that was
the 111. That was Nick Jones. Nick Jones.
And Michael Seymour went half airborne.
Now coming off of the corner here. He just blended down very far down the straightaway there. I can't quite explain why. John, you're an Aussie. I respect Aussies, but why didn't you turn?
I just don't know if he had any idea where the 30 was there, unfortunately.
Yeah, maybe his graphic settings are higher and the smoke was, I know the smoke is pretty difficult here, and so they are going to pit. Now, I don't know the stage rules as well as you may know them, Brad. Usually with the stage, if the pits are closed, but because the caution's out, I assume the pits are going to be open, even though we're going through the stage, yada yada technicalities. But either way, everyone's going to come in and put that first set of Goodyears on, but we will have, as expected, a couple of drivers flipping the stage in the form of Dylan Freeman and Al Corey. And there goes Naj to get back on the lead lap as predicted. You can see here on the stint graphic, 15 laps on the tires for Freeman. And then Corey, Kress, and Williams, 6 laps. So I think that's a fabulous call by the 2nd through 4th. A decent but a little bit less amazing call by the 31, because I think that might be a little bit too far in pace-wise. But what do I do?
I mean, I guess it's worth a try. I don't know if that's the best decision, but it's...
Risk it for the biscuit. Can't win it if you ain't in it.
Hey, you, I don't like your strategy.
Can't lift the trophy if... Actually, what word rhymes with trophy? Why would I even try that? I have no idea.
You're asking me the wrong question after the last 4 days I've had. I'm struggling to come up with synonyms here.
I mean, it's not Kiss the Bricks here at Loudon. I think they've actually brought into existence Kissing the Granite here. You see the stripe there at Loudon, that gray, that is actually granite, because New Hampshire is the granite state. So you can't kiss the granite if you're not willing to, yeah. Usually we're a lot more on top of our pun game here and our quick wit, but everyone has to have an off day, and sometimes my off days last longer than a day. But I digress from that. Green flag will be in the air. Freeman and Corey on the front row. Al was absolutely taking a nap there. Look at the jump that Freeman gets, and Kress was just in a wreck, but he's going to take advantage of it, and the track position is now his, and he is in 3rd.
Yeah, 3rd place there going through. Behind him, 3-wide action basically starting as we go through. Big wiggle in the background from a bright yellow car. No.
Oh, we're still going.
Brakes, brakes, brakes. Come on,
I
guys.
know Arca was a lime rock this week, but got me some slack, guys.
Lightning McQueen on the track here coming through. So there was a big wiggle from the yellow car, and it just chain reaction took out the 12 coming through around the 84 to the 5 to the 111.
Yeah, we got to focus on Jared Jackson here. I think this is the stemmage of it. Go from the top down. Cam, watch that white and red car center. Oh, big wiggle from O'Connor. And he had a little bit of an overreaction, I would say. And I understand, so I'm not critiquing him at all. As he got loose, he reacted down low, but he kind of reacted low without kind of acknowledging who else had issues. And there's Wu. Who was that all the way in the back to the wall there? That was the 78 at Harcum there. So that's the big one at Loudon. Not something that you say very often, but I think we have a little bit of work to do in the sense of, do we have the 34 available to talk to, Brad? You want to have a word with him if he's here? I know he's our sponsor. We're usually queued up to have a word with our sponsor.
Do we have the 34 available? Where's he at?
We ain't got him.
We do not have him at all.
So, isn't our responsibility to talk to the stage winner? Well, not to talk to the stage winner, to talk to the sponsor, but we can't talk to someone who ain't here. So, oh well, can't say we didn't try. But given that, we're just going to step aside for a super brief break. So brief that it won't be long. We'll be back in a bit. We'll be back in a second.
And welcome back to the Magic Mile here for the Lobster Crawl 115 from New Hampshire here with Triple Bypass Racing. Pace car pulls in and it's Dylan Freeman. Let's see how complicated this restart can get for Avril Lavigne as we go green flag there. Al Corey to the outside line. Al Corey gets away. Brad Crest to the inside. They're going to try to run, but Dylan Freeman, hey, you, I want the lead by a considerable margin. As he comes down into 3, that on edge number 2 is certainly on edge, feeling good there. And Chad Baer bearing it all out, following him along here down the inside. He's going to squeeze the 31 up high. Al Corey will follow through, and that is the tire difference. I know it doesn't seem like a lot of laps make a difference, but man, just those few laps difference there are really spelling things out for Freeman, but he's just trying to sort of claw along. He's trying to do the lobster crawl and just crawl his way forward and hold on to as many places as he can. Al Corey currently under pressure by Matthew Robinson down low. Let's see what happens there as they come out of 3-4, hold it side by side, and Matthew Robinson's certainly going to try to get past. Yeah, we know Stephen McClendon there, and that number 51 has a lot of pace to give. Is a very, very fast, talented driver. You just sort of have to keep your eyes on him. Sometimes he's there, and again, this is one of those that if there's a setup change, if there's a fundamental car change, it can shake things upside down in a league. And sometimes the drivers who were just absolutely perfect, amazing before, they just struggle to come back to the top and kind of be the cream of the crop. Sometimes you see new ones rise through. Stephen McClendon in that number 1 finds himself still side by side with Al, finally clears Al, but man, took a while to get that pass done, and let's see if he can't find his way past Freeman in a moment.
Yeah, as you see, Freeman, who had a bad few laps outwards of that restart, but ever since then, he has maintained pretty well. And here's Dewey and Corey battling, and a lot of contact on corner entry there. Not too sure what that's all about. Maybe they were going for the same space, or maybe there's a little bad blood there. Not an Avril joke, but female joke nonetheless. But that is a battle going on. And then we go a little further back, and these drivers are still going at it. This is a dicey battle for the 6th spot.
Let's see how this goes through. Alcourt doesn't want to drop too far down too soon, because the thing is, if we go towards the end of the race, you never know. If something comes up with calculation, something comes up with calculation, he could find himself in a great position here as McClendon goes underneath. Dylan Freeman gets a clean pass there, a good pass, and is able to move his way forward into the 4th position, and will now set off to chase the top 3 who have checked out just a little bit there. Ty Bass with almost half a second up on Chad Bear.
Yeah, about a half second. We'll check out on our ticker. We'll switch it over to lap times to give you a perspective of who's running what. Last time by Chad Bear, significantly faster, and the fastest car on the track, actually, Steve McClendon. So obviously he was one to dominate earlier in the season, getting some wins, getting some points positions, obviously being our points leader, but hasn't, last week was off his game at New Hampshire, at Nashville, with the physics change. Maybe he's still just acclimating to it. There's some drivers there, Brad, that kind of have a lot more time to input to the session, to the sim, to learn the new updates, and some drivers, this might be their only race of the week, so just takes a little bit longer to acclimate to these changes, as Dewey seems to be getting in contact with everybody he's passing.
Yeah, Dewey, do he dare move his way forward? He certainly does, as the 81 spinning in the background. That's Mark Jarrell. Down off the track surface, though.
I think he intentionally did the sportsman thing and knew the algorithm and purposely waited to not throw out a caution. So I got to give him full marks. Hopkins gave him a bumpkin there. And again, you could see that below that blue line, that's off the track. And if he backed up onto the track, that would have caused a caution. But he waited for the whole field to pass by before he sorted himself out. And because of that, we stay green. That is a sportsman-like move there at the expense of his own track positioning. But I'm sure everybody will appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, even drivers are drivers. They don't want to go under caution if they don't have to. And I mean, sometimes when you're in that position, you've already spun, you drop down, you're going to get passed anyways. You're going to lose track time. You're probably carrying a little bit of damage. You kind of just have to do what you do.
Did I write that? I can't figure it out.
Did you write that?
I don't remember if I wrote that. I don't think I did.
That doesn't read. That doesn't read Corey Silva writing, and I know you're writing pretty well at this point.
His toofy, sir. Oh my God! I must have wrote that because I have a kid. I have kids, so only people with kids. He's 34. Maybe he has a kid, but toofies would only come from a parent. So maybe I did write it. But if they didn't fill out our data sheet, I wrote random stuff in there. But hopefully, maybe he can take some that sensitive toothpaste here and allow himself to have some ice cream because missing out in life. Of course, if you're lactose intolerant, that's one thing, but. Either way, I saw somebody get sideways and wreck. Timmy Wreck.
I was going to say someone's going to have a toothpaste sponsor next week, and I worry that old Timmy there is going to have him a neck brace sponsor next week. Look at this. So comes down.
He just got loose.
Trying to avoid hitting the 57 and...
Yeah, overreacted.
Oh, man, that was a hard hit. So that puts us under yellow once more, and
I think we're trying to catch up to our friend the pace car here. Pace car off of turn number 2, and we're already at the point, Brad, where because of the cautions that we've already had, I think fuel to the end is already all but locked in. No worry to have there. I guess essentially the biggest question at this point would just be how important are those tires? You have 2 more, and as we always say, there's the lap of no return where you can't make up enough time to overcome that pit stop. We know how hard it is to pass. Al Corey, only dropping back to 6th. So when to make that stop and what will be your final stop, that is going to be a pressing strategy call, and I don't envy having to make it.
Yeah, that's one of those that I, in no way, shape, and or form, want to be a strategist, a crew chief, a driver trying to calculate it out. I just don't know what the best call is, but I'll tell you right now, if you are one Mr. Dylan Freeman, you're in the pits. If you're Michael Seymour, Jared Jackson, Naj Crutchley, JC John Campbell, I mean, you got several guys that are in the pits here making calls to go on fresh tires. But your lap 65 of 115, I mean, I'm
going to say 30 to go would probably be the lap of no return. Because I would normally say, that there's usually a time where the race gets its green flag flare, we have our wrecks, we run to the end. That's normal, but again, we're still acclimating to the new physics, to the nuances. I know a lot of this car does drive much more realistically, especially with the air. The only part of it that is a little off from what I've been told and what I've noticed is the rear air situation. Getting aero loose is a little exaggerated, but we haven't seen any aero looses here. We've seen drivers really struggle on corner exit. That was the trend last week, and that overall, I'd say, seems to be the trend with most of these wrecks here tonight, Brett.
Yeah, I would agree with that too, and that tends to be that's the trend that I've seen, everywhere I've looked around going through, is that, just as you said it's the rear end is a little exaggerated, and that's sort of the point of contention that everyone has right now. Of course, I'm sure that's going to be tweaked a little bit, as iRacing tends to do. They'll do something, maybe go a little too far with it and then dial it back a little bit. We'll see what happens with everything as, time ticks through. Ty Bass, though, I tell you what, I just realized we're back to Ty Bass and Chad Baer at P1, P2 as they were. Pace car's about to peel off. We're going to go through the Echo turret zone. Let's see if Ty Bass remembers how to run a restart.
As they go through that restart zone, green flag back in the air, lap number 66. I think we're right at the halfway point, or we've already eclipsed it. This is not math that's good for me in the head to do, but you can see right to that rear deck lid is Chad Baer, all the way back to the rear bumper. Not a deck lid, we're not driving trucks here today, but this is the closest Baer has been on a restart. Looking to the outside, looking, getting a little loose. Now he's going to try to get the power down, but not get it down too much, because every time he does this, he gets wheel spin. He's close, he's taking a look. Is it too far away? He will retort the effort.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to live to fight another day than try to take you and the other guy out and get yourself a penalty later. See as they come through, Chad Baer trying to look for somewhere big wreck in the background there. Hard into the inside wall.
And it's Averill. Dylan Freeman.
Oh, man.
Well, it is, you could see on that car, greatest hits tour. Unfortunately,
do it.
Yeah, unfortunately, the hits the last 2 weeks have not been songs. They have been incidents. So,
ouch. There's one Admiral fan somewhere that took offense to that, but let's get a PTR TV replay up.
Talking about corner exits. Oof.
Yeah, I mean, that's a way to exit the corner, I guess. The idea was to go about 35 degrees further to the right, though, and stay straight.
All right, I've got some guys in our chat here, and thoughts on a street race in San Diego. Well, I think we've covered most of the racing points thus far. I am going to say, so basically, everyone expects this is the last year of the Chicago street course. Of course, we did run here in Triple Bypass a few weeks ago at Chicago. all rumors had that we were going to go to Chicagoland Speedway next year, and there's still validity to some of those rumors. I don't mind going to San Diego, but I know NASCAR wants to stay in Chicago, so as long as they can pull off going back to Chicagoland Speedway, I'm fine doing another street course race, especially keeping us going to SoCal, but I don't want to go to SoCal at the expense of Chicagoland Speedway. That's my take on it.
I would agree with that. Chicagoland's a good track. It deserves some more love, attention, and laps on it. I just don't know why you would. I don't know why you'd run a SoCal race at San Diego, though. Maybe that's just a me issue.
I think they spend more money for 2 years constructing a street course in San Diego. They would have better off just converted the Auto Club Speedway and had the asset. But what do I know about big tier finances? So again, all podcast topics, of which this is not. But that was Jared Jackson getting back on the lead lap. So at this juncture, lap number 70, 45 to go. All 29 drivers that are currently on the racetrack are on the lead lap. Again, Cam Kane in that 37, the Aflac car, the only one who is behind the wall.
Yeah, good to see 29 of our 30 drivers running through. Everybody trying to just, make it through this magic mile and do as much as they can here on the night. They want the Lobster. They want the fish and chips, roundy, turn lefty. Again, I think
watch our YouTube shorts if you don't know what the hell we're talking about with that.
I was going to say, that's probably one of our most infamous clips on this channel at this point.
Absolutely. And going back to the Chicago point really, really quickly, go look Carson Hocevar up on YouTube. He did a really good video on Chicagoland Speedway in its current state. Very interesting watch there. But we are going single file restarts. Admin's pulling the call here to try to get some green flag racing in. So single file, this will spread things out, which will hurt some and help others. But either way, we're into turn number 1 on lap 72.
Into turn number 1, out of turn number 2 we go. And that number 2 running away there up front. Ty Bass with a great lead over Chad Bear. A quarter of a second already on the exit. And, well, we didn't even make turn 3.
And Jared Jackson, part 2. And I see Ward Fisher. Ward Fisher seems to have a large perspective in this incident. No, Jackson just said, I turn now.
Man, that's about what happened to me exiting the interstate today. Somebody decided they wanted my lane instead of the other lane, and I had to lay on the brakes and the horn, and the wife was not happy about it. And it looked something like this. No contact in my situation, but
he thought he was
Ward Fisher,
yeah, he thought he was clear
situation.
Already, and he was not clear. And then Brad Kress gets loose by himself. So, and this is what I know you weren't here for this, Brad, but the sentiment is still the same. And mind you, I'm gonna say, hell, hey, squirrel, and get distracted. Emmer, you didn't get to catch this last week. No more ice cream. He apparently is an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, and for those basketball fans out there, they just won their first ever NBA Finals. So can't say congratulations because I'm mad that the Celtics got caught out. But my sentiment that I was getting at, Brad, is the single file restarts. I appreciate what admin is doing. Because typically single file restarts will clean a race up, but the problem we're having outside of that specific incident is we're having car control issues. We're not having necessarily contact issues. So you could single file restarts or not, until we figure out those car control issues, whether we're single file or double, we're probably still going to have the wrecks.
Well, and I think the single file thing, I think one, admin can throw that, but I think number 2 also, I think iRacing will sometimes auto set that if you don't make it out of turn 2 on a restart, if I recall my iRacing knowledge correctly, which you've been around.
They can set, I think, after successive cautions, I think in the session settings, to auto switch, but yes, it also can be switched. I don't think it's like an auto, like an algorithmic thing. I think it's either predetermined or admin will do it on the fly. But either way, it looks like we're going to keep through with that theme here, as we are normally going to, I'm going to say we're going to get doubled up, stacked up. We're going to get singled up, snaked up. We're ready to go back green flag racing here.
Yeah, so this is going to be one of those situations where, I'm kind of with you on this one, Corey. When you have such a fundamental change to a car, the way that this car specifically changed with last update, I don't think it matters if you single file, double file, triple file, 4 file, restart, what you want to do. It sort of doesn't matter, because if the car control isn't there, it doesn't matter. And granted, they have fixed setups on. They have great setups on that run really smooth, really fun, and do feel good to drive. But you still just have to have that car control there for everyone.
All we can hope is that maybe everybody will have a little bit cleaner air, and maybe that will help things out. But what will help things out is getting back to green flag racing here, and Robinson in the 34, looking to the inside of Chad Baer. Baer hasn't really had too much contesting from behind. His day has all been ahead. And Chad Baer, he just wants to get this thing going. He has the long run pace. Huge wiggle from Robinson. But we know Chad Baer has the pace, and he probably after 20 laps, I think, can get by Ty. We can't get 20 laps in where he can show that long run speed, but he's trying to figure out the short run, and thus far he's figured out a little bit of something here on this opening restart lap.
And Chad Baer doing a great job staying to the back here of Ty E. Bass coming through. And now look at this peek up the inside through on the exit of 2. This is the run, possibly. Here we go, down into 3. He's got the low side, squeeze around. Back in the background, they're all swerving. But up front, here we go. Chad Baer to the inside, Ty Bass to the outside. New leader, Chad Baer off of 4.
Yeah, we saw Dewey have a big issue off of the corner. He was kind of stuck to the wall. I was worried for Baer's sake that was going to interrupt his pass attempt once more, but we stay green, and we are side by side a little bit further back. That is the 809 of Crothers and Herzog there in the 57. They are battling for that 6th spot, and we are getting some confirmation that the single file is per discretion, the admin discretion. They don't use any of the automatic settings, so it is all admin discretion as to when that is executed here. But 28 of Matt Harmon, remember he was involved in something at some time or another, trying to get by Harcum, which at this point I think I should mention who hasn't been in something more than who has.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, at this point, if you're going to talk about someone who hasn't been in it, and it's hard to say, Dewey low there. Kyle Dewey has some big damage to that car, and it looks like he's just trying to nurse this car around at this point. Do he go into the pits, and Kyle Dewey, he will stay out.
Yeah, at this point, I think he's just going to have to suffer and just find the new way to drive that car, because it ain't how he has been driving it. But look at, and as I said, once Chad Baer got the lead, I knew he'd be able to set sail, but you have to remember one race, and that was only 2 weeks ago at the Chicago Street Course that we ran. He actually ended up having a hardware failure, which put him right into the wall, and that took him out of a win that he also deserves. So he's taking a look here at Loudon, and he is hoping that hardware stays true and that he can get that redemption he needs after that win that fell through his fingertips.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it. If something happens to Chad Baer, I'm not the one who pointed that out from 2 weeks ago. It was Corey Silva. Please direct all anger, hatred, and comments towards him if something happens to Chad Baer at this point. Thank you. That legal disclosure is now done. Let's see if Ty Bass has anything to give, but that gap continues to open and open and open. Chad Baer, as you said, Corey, is going to take off here. Tons of just positions up and down the field to watch with a battle. Here we go further back along. Matt Harmon and Timothy O'Connor trying to find out side by side.
Oh, no, it's Robinson of all drivers. Our race sponsor, Matt Robinson, Matt Robb has shortened the front end of his number 34 Mustang, the AccuPro Mustang, and let's sort through it. It is the name of the game here today, Brad. Same verse, different verse, same as the first, whatever that saying is.
Second verse, same as the first. Here he goes around, and I tell you what, that exit of turn 2 just does not care who you are or what you're doing. It'll decide when it wants you to hit that inside wall. And unfortunately for our race sponsor, Matthew Robinson, the answer was now.
Yeah, we'll see here. We're coming through 3 and 4. From my perspective, I think this is the pit lap of no return, where if you're going to stay out now, you made your bed, and I think everyone kind of agrees with me. It makes me feel good when I actually say stuff that makes sense. Everyone's going to come in, and when I say everyone, I mean everyone. So I'd be hard-pressed to believe we'll see a pit stop after this. I think this is where your bet is made, but look at Al Corey and look at a few others. You can see Freeman and a few others. We'll watch the scoring as it equalizes out, but get some drivers on the strategy game here.
I mean, you got to roll the dice at this point. Again, as you said, Corey, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think this is the point of no return here. Lap 85 of 115 coming up. So, I mean, you're at 30 laps to go here. If you're Al Corey, I'd be a little uncomfortable in this position. Same with Dylan Freeman.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw them go that alternate pit strategy earlier and try to make it work out. But, you know, you just sort of have to watch as 12th to 1st, that's a lot more than 3 positions.
Let's just kind of rush through a little bit of a through the field here. We got him first. We got William Emmert, not in an ice cream car, in second. We got Dylan Freeman. He's had a day of, it's been a day. We got Daniel Williams in fourth, Ty Bass in fifth, Brian Dickens in sixth. Chad Baird didn't have a good stop. He's in seventh. We got Timothy O'Connor in eighth, McClendon in ninth, Herzog in 10th. 11th, we got Crothers, we got Hopkins, we got Matt Harmon, we got Elton Woo. And then Matt Robinson, our race sponsor, in 15th. Then we got Harcum, Jason Benson, I haven't talked about him, in 17th. Tex Nichols in 18th. 19th is John Campbell. And then Naj John Crutchley in 20th. And then just rounding things out, we got Mark Gerald in 21st. Anthony Suarez, 22nd. Dominic Zanobi, 23rd. Kyle Dewey, 24th. In the pits, Ward Fisher on 25th. Seymour Jackson last on the lead lap. And then we have Jones and Kress in the pits. He's the last still registered on the racetrack, getting some last second repairs.
This is going to be a fun little restart here coming through now that we've went through the field and you kind of have an idea of who's where. I would say really keep your eye on Ty Bass. That'd be the first car I'd really keep an eye on this restart. Let's see how they go here as the single file restart gets underway. Corey in the lead here with William Emer second place, Dylan Freeman third, Daniel Williams fourth. Al Corey with a great restart, but how long can he hold it? Well, the answer will be interesting because we're 3 wide in the back.
Yes, we are. We're about 2-3 wide here. That is the 35 of Daniel Williams. And I look at Steve McClendon. That name has gone quiet through the middle portion of today's race. Currently in that 9th position, trying to sort out where to go in that number 51. But you can see at the top of the shot, a battle for the lead is stemming. Emmert is right to the rear of Al Corey. And he's trying to get as far ahead as he can get before those fresh tires of Ty E. Bass managed to close the gap, and he is already to the inside, and we are wrecking. Keaton Crothers and Ben Harcum now.
Attacks. This on there is, well, Harcum just demonstrating the toe mater method of going backwards.
Yeah, so we'll check out our PTR TV replay one more again here. I saw a yellow car go off first.
I think Ward Fisher was in this too.
Oh, that was, Crothers lost it on his own. And then did the 28 lose it on his own too?
Yep, and then the 78 lost it trying to break to
so
avoid.
There's only one answer. He tried to keep it underneath Hopkins there, and then the 78 kind of reactionary spin, and then Tex a reactionary spin. And then what happened to Ward Fisher? The only explanation is the track is wet, right?
I mean, yeah, definitely someone's dropped oil on the track. That's all there is at this point.
Hospital wobble overcorrect into the fence, and Dewey just about evaded life and death there. But Al Corey, as expected, will stay out. Again, it wouldn't make much sense to pit now because, again, the bed's already kind of made at this point. His tires are 20 laps older than everybody else. And so I think the only drivers to pit are those who are needing of some damage repair.
Yeah, at this point, you are committed to the bit and you are doing what you're doing. So we'll see what happens here. I think William Emmert is going to be in a really good position for a win here. Al Corey is going to be is in a good position, I'd say, because you're the race leader. How are you not in a good position? But it's challenging to keep that position is going to be the problem he finds. Again, I still go back to Ty Ebass and Chad Bear, I think are probably the two strongest cars to watch, but Brian Dickens is right there in fifth as well. You never know. Could find something there in that 122 if he wanted to.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there for Dickens. And this week we are at New Hampshire. Next week we will be at 1.5 miles for the first time in this Aero update era, and that'll be at the Texas Motor Speedway. 120 laps we'll do on July 6th, followed by the Brickyard, and then we will be in Thunder Valley, Bristol, Tennessee. That'll be our last race of the regular season in about 3 weeks' time in mid-July, and then wrapping up our season at Daytona, Phoenix, and our championship finale will be at the Darlington Raceway. So that is the season 8 here of Triple Bypass. That will be our schedule that we will have. So this is a difficult stretch, going to a concrete track, going to a little tight track like this where there's not really any replications of it, heading to the street circuit. So a very difficult stretch, and we kind of go back to pseudo-normalcy at Texas next week.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one at Texas, too, going back to that sort of, again, as you just called it, pseudo-normalcy. I'm very excited to see how the drivers do at Texas. I've had a couple of challenges, I'd say, between Nashville and New Hampshire, and it'll be interesting to see what happens here as we go in lap 90 of 25 laps to go here. Al Corey takes the green flag from Barney, gets going, and very quickly we already have Ty E. Bash trying to execute a dive to the inside on Dylan Freeman.
Trying to take advantage of it, needs to get the pass done as quickly as possible, because every caution that we have, that's a heat cycle. Every heat cycle that goes on those tires, it equalizes the belt more and more with those older tires that are in front. Al Corey rocking that third lane, and Emmert all the way down there on the flat, struggling to get grip, struggling to maintain that position. But here comes Ty Bass. He's looking to the inside. Will he have enough grip to do a slider? I don't think he will. Actually, yes, he will. He almost went Bob's your uncle 2 for 1 there. Here comes Emmert to the outside, but I think Ty Bass is already focused on the race lead.
Yeah, and Ty Bass down to the inside. Easy pass there on fresh tires. Makes it stick out of 3 and 4. Maybe I spoke a little too soon. Al Corey trying to have a little bit of a dive there to attack back. Not able to get that done, though. And very quickly, Ty Bass will just go away with it. Chad Bear now needs to get through the inside. And again, just pretty as you please. Nice and simple. Chad Bear going to get past Al Corey. Has the run off of 2. Very quick on the pass. Again, that's the power of fresh tires. And is through, gone, done, dusted, as Emmert now wants to take a stab there at Al Corey.
Yep. Emmert wants to take that stab and try to get that 3rd spot, and he will battle on for it. But now we are down to about 22-ish laps to go, and we're back to the same battle we had before. We know that Chad Bear is the better long-run car. We know Ty Bass is the better short-run car, and that there's a point of equilibrium where they come together. But Ty Bass is going to try to get everything he can and then hope that he has enough in the long run. Or maybe a caution comes out to the detriment of Chad Bear. But either way, side by side, Emmert and Corey still digging, and they are losing a myriad of time to the top 2.
And as we continue along here, that time just continues to increase. And unfortunately, Al Corey kind of playing the cork in the bottle here, but great defensive work, defending inside, defending outside, just to the frustration of Timothy O'Connor and William Emmert, as now Timothy O'Connor, 19, goes down low on the 45, needs to try to find a pass on the 45, and let's see here if there's anything additional to give, because Al Corey is a massive cork in the bottle, has great blocking ability here at this point, but is holding this whole field up from those top 2 if they wanted to try to have a run with 20 laps to go.
Finally, Timothy O'Connor will manage to clear, and that'll put him into the 3rd spot. And again, 20-lap older tires on that number 45, but doing a good job. But I think the driver here today who deserves the Trash to Treasures Award. How about that? Is that when we keep at the Trash to Treasures Award? Dylan Freeman, how many issues has that 31 had here today? And he's still in the top 10 and kind of digging for more in that number 31. He's not done yet.
honestly, every one of these drivers have had a heck of a race somewhere, somehow. Whether it be alternate pit strategy, whether it be a different, run one way or the other, every driver on this track has had just a absolute race of attrition. And with 19 laps to go, 18 as they cross the line, I mean, you got to give a shout out where it's due to everyone here. But I agree with you. That Avril Lavigne car has really, really gone through it, but is still holding on as much as possible. Now down into 13, but that number 31 looking good as Steve McClendon has some cars behind him that are fighting. Emmert Herzog, as Herzog almost got a hurting.
Herzog, let's pause that thought.
Zanobi.
Because, well, hopefully that Stanley Cup trophy was not in the car, because it would surely be dented and or dinged. Let's see what happened to Zanobi. Contact with the Tide Ride off the corner. And it just went roundy and unfortunately turned righty.
Yeah, Naj with a great miss there of that going through. John Crutchley, tell you what, you see him come through.
Anthony Suarez in that Tide Ride there. And yeah, the 30 just ran out of space. And how many times have we seen it either overcorrects to the left or it overcorrects to the right? Very few drivers have been able to save it with their corner exit, predominantly turn 2 issues.
And I don't know why turn 2 is such a difficult corner. You would think, turn 4 would be equally as hard, but for some reason it's turn 2 specifically where everyone has the hardest time. There
is a couple bumps there, and I will say in 3 and 4 that drivers use a little bit more liberty. I haven't really seen it here in the next gen, as we do have some pit stops towards the back of the field. I know in the trucks you will actually see drivers on the flat. I think, Brad, when we covered the area series, they were. But there is a couple really rough bumps off of 2, and if you hit those bumps wrong, it'll get you sideways. And when it gets you sideways, then obviously you're just kind of struggling to regain control of the vehicle there as we head down the back. And of course, that famous Loudon road course, which if you are an iRacing member and I highly recommend taking a car, maybe the MX-5, maybe a GT4, maybe a Skippy, one of the slower Formula cars. Take some laps around this New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course. It is some of the most fun you'll have. It goes inside and outside of the track, which is very rare for a Roval, but a really, really good time.
You're not just saying that because it's your home track,
no,
are you?
Genuinely. This place, I mean, very rarely do you find a Roval, that goes outside of the track, so you're not just stuck within the infield, but it actually has elevation change when you go outside of that hill on the back straightaway. So let's see if
it really is a lot of fun. I will say that.
And I will there, right behind you can see right behind the Jumbotron there. You can see that big hill with the road on it. That is part of the road course. There's a big kind of a carousel corner back there. It is a really, really good time. So
it is.
So I do like to run some road. I'm actually better at road than I am on oval whenever I hop on iRacing about once a month for a driving perspective. But we are in crunch time. We are in game time here. It is 15 laps to go. And Ty Bass, what is his lap lead count? It is a very high number. It is 78. And as much as he's led of this race, Brad, I don't have the confidence that he's going to pull this thing off with who's right behind him.
You could honestly flip a coin, call it heads or tails, and you're probably going to be right. Ty Bass has had a great run this race, has done great leading, is going to lead us back through the Echo Park restart zone, through the green flag. But Chad Bear, I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to discount Chad Bear. That's a fast doggone driver in that 91. Let's see what happens here. But McClendon also is quick. If he can be there when it counts, I mean, that's all you need. It doesn't matter if you led 78 if you didn't lead the last one.
Exactly that. It matters. The final lap is the only one you need. You don't have to lead the first 114. You just have to lead really about a foot to the checkers to get yourself that Loudon the Lobster in the Lobster Crawl 115, brought to you by the number 34 of Matthew Robinson, who is currently, after his faux pas, in the 22nd position here today. So again, it's another shout out to him in that capacity. But Bear has gained that time back that he since lost, and he's right to that rear bumper of Ty Bass and dealing with that dirty air, dealing with those slightly aging tires, trying to put the throttle down but not get that wheel spin.
Ebats here doing great of just putting the car right in the middle. Chad Bayer here on the exit of 2. You can see down into third gear as he was through the corner. Again, that's, a different strategy. Some drivers want third, some drivers want fourth, but nevertheless, he wants to be quick. And Timothy O'Connor is just right on the touch of this battle as well, as you watch as all three of them cross the line. Times reset, and Timothy O'Connor was the fastest out of those 3 cars last lap. So we could have an even bigger battle on our hands than we thought, as back behind, McClendon has dropped off by over a second. But let's see, that's a good battle happening between Herzog and now Corey.
Yeah, Corey he's hanging on much better than I would have thought, as I think McClendon all the way out there running the wall line, which we talked a little bit earlier. But because Corey he's kind of almost being the Ryan Newman of this race, Brad. He is very, very difficult to pass, trying to hang right onto that right rear as long as possible. But unfortunately for him, Herzog will have just enough to do so. But let's go and focus on that battle for the lead and just see if there's anything noticeable that we can see that may give us a trend or where we may or may not be here. Chad Bayer right in that dirty air of the 2, and he's really stalling out there. He's got to find a way to get some clean air on the nose. Find maybe a little bit lower, a little bit higher. Try to use some different approach, or else he's going to be stuck in that dirty air wall.
Yeah, and at this point, 9 laps to go. You are sort of stuck for the moment, because if you make the move too early, there's the chance that you get set up and pass back. If you make the move too late and it doesn't stick, well, then you just give things up. And also the problem Chad Bayer has right now is kind of in a rock and a hard place. So he can go for the pass on Ty Bass, but if it doesn't stick for some reason, you got Timothy O'Connor, who's just a few tenths back, who's ready to try to have the run and make the pass when it's all said and done. So all of a sudden, you've kind of got yourself in this dill pickle situation where you have to make a decision.
I can see 5 tenths and then only about 6 tenths to the leader, as close as they are. Let's take a look at our lap times, and about 3 tenths off. So he has really not endured too much fall off, at least at this juncture in the race. But I will tell you, as we reference Ty Bass, you can see his best lap was 0.3 of a second faster. So by this logic, he's 6 tenths off the pace. But Timothy O'Connor not having as lightning quick of a lap kind of made the fall off look a little bit different there. But either way, 6 laps to go. We do have some other battles going on that we'll focus on while we're watching the metrics here up front. That is Crothers looking underneath Emmert here. That is 8th and 9th. Little scrape to the concrete off the wall, but they'll still go side by side.
Yeah, side by side there, just in front of them. Al Corey, Michael Hopkins going side by side as well. You can see Al again just parking that car well, taking that Canadian Tire car, and just managing to frustrate anyone who wants to get by. As up front, Chad Bayer has now bared down on Ty E. Bass. The E stands for insert some word here, because this is a hard fought battle here, but you just got to hold on for 5 more laps, Ty Bass. If you can do that, you can get yourself a lobster.
We talked about the rear air grief, as they're talking about now, which for old timers is called aero loose. That has been a thing. So if he can break that bubble of dirty air, get close enough to the 2, he may be able to get him out of the way, get him a little loose, a little sideways, slide him up the track just off the old aerodynamics. That's how we used to pass there in the Gen 4, Gen 5 era, even Gen 6 for that matter. He's now within 0.2 of a second, coming down 4 laps to go. Looking a little bit low. Now he's squeezing it down there. Maybe a little contact, maybe a lot of contact up the track. And this is all going to allow O'Connor to get into it. But here we come down the back side by side, and Ty Bass will have to fall back in the line. Is he going to be happy about that? Is he going to try to retaliate? I don't think he has the car to.
I think it's going to be a matter of just defend that second place now. I think, unfortunately for Ty Bass, Chad Bayer's ahead, and once Chad Bayer gets clean air, Chad Bayer it's difference night and day. Just opens up a whole different car. Ty Bass is not driving well in the dirty air. We saw that earlier when Chad Bayer was able to get up front and sort of take off, and with 3 laps to go, unfortunately, I think for Ty Bass, it's a matter of just keep Timothy O'Connor behind as much as you can here. Try to hold on to that second place. It's heartbreaking to put the number 2 in second, but sometimes you just got to sort of count your losses and move on.
Yeah, exactly that. Again, just We've seen many drivers just dominate races and they just fall apart at the end, and he dominated this race on the lap count, but I wouldn't say he dominated this race in terms of speed, but he's now going to struggle to finish even second. Nope, he falls right back in line. O'Connor will pass for second as we are about a lap and a third to the white flag.
Yeah, and as we come through, Chad Bear will take things forward. Timothy O'Connor goes very high, Ty Bass a little bit lower, and watch Steve McClendon there in fourth. He's got just one lap to figure it out. Barney waving the white flag this time by, and Chad Bear needs to just keep it together for just one more mile here, and Chad Bear can get himself in position. 10 laps led. It'll be 11 when he crosses the line. Again, I said it before, it doesn't matter if you led 114, doesn't matter if you led 91, 81, whatever might be, as long as you lead this final lap. That's all that matters, Corey.
Here comes through 3 and 4. Got really upset recovering after that Chicago Street Force hardware failure, but he's not going to need to recover today. He's going to get it on his own. He's going to get it on speed. He's going to win the Lobster Crawl 115. Gets the Loud and the Lobster. Chad Bear is our victor here today, as everybody will cross the stripe. All 27 drivers that were on the lead lap going to finish this thing out here today. So again, Chad Bear gets that redemption that he ever so desired after that heartbreak 2 weeks ago. But you have to feel for Ty Bass leading that many laps, only to settle for a podium there in third.
The long run pace just wasn't there, unfortunately. Had such a strong car, was having great runs. That short run, that restart was great, but Chad Bear just able to put it together on a long run, which is what Chad Bear is so good at. That is a scary car to have behind you on a long green flag run.
And we had Wu, I'm pretty sure, hit the tire wall there on the cool-down lap. But either way, he's going to do the Granite Donuts here at New Hampshire and burn it on down here, celebratory style. But congrats go to him. But let's go start our post-race show. Give you the final rundown of results here today from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Getting the win by a final margin of that there of 0.8 of a second is Chad Bear over Timothy O'Connor. Ty Bass in third. Steve McClendon gets a good run here in fourth. Mark Herzog in fifth. Michael Hopkins in sixth. Al Corey, those older tires will fall back to seventh. Carruthers Emmert and Wu in 10th position.
From there, we're going to go P11, Matt Harmon, and then Brian Dickens, 12th place. JC John Campbell in the Krispy Kreme car, P13th. Anthony Suarez in 14th. Jason Benson, P15. Daniel Williams, 16th. Kyle Dewey, he will find himself P17. Naj Crutchley, P18. Dylan Freeman, heartbreaking car, in 19th. And Dominic Zanobi in P number 20.
And then rounding out our field of drivers, 30 strong here today. Matt Robinson, our sponsor, in 21st. Ben Harcum in 22nd. Jared Jackson had issues here today. He settles for 23rd. Michael Seymour in 24th. Nick Jones, 25th. Ward Fisher, Mark Gerald, our league title sponsor, Tex Nichols, 28th. Kress and Kane are going to be shotgun on the field. So we will skew down here to trackside. And Brad, I think if you can get through the champagne and confetti, I think you have caught up with our race winner.
Yeah, Mr. Chad Bear, again, led 11 laps this race, but led the ones that counted here. Chad, how's it feel to get that number 91 up in victory?
It's good, man. That was a really rewarding win, man. I've followed Ty the whole night. I think he made 3 mistakes all night, man. That one right there at the end, if he hadn't have done that, I'd have never got around him.
Listen, Chad, I got to ask the big question here. Of course, hardware failure a couple of weeks ago, resulting in what should have been just a dominating win being taken away. It's got to be really good to get back this week, right?
Yeah, that was, man, that was heartbreaking at Chicago, man. I really wanted that one bad. Like me and Brad sponsored it and all that stuff. But anyway, yeah, kind of, you hate to say that you feel like you're owed one, but man, I was hoping that would come back to me at some point. So yeah, tickled with the result tonight, man. That was, I worked hard to get by Ty. Like I said, he was nearly perfect for the whole race.
Yeah, what was the difference between you and Ty there? Because it seems like, was it just that one moment, that one small error you had that gave you the advantage to get past? Or, without that, do you think you still would have been able to get past him?
Oh, no, I would have never got by him. I mean, with the next gens, there was really just one good lane or one good groove to use. And as long as he stayed in it, there was no way to get around him with the dirty air and all that. I felt like I had a little pace on him after maybe 8 or 10 laps, but like I said, if he didn't make any mistakes because of the dirty air, like there was no getting by him. He might as well have been on another continent.
Well, Chad, man, it was awesome to see you pull that car forward again, 11 laps ahead, but you led the ones that really counted there at the end. Anyone you want to thank or shout out before?
Just thanks to everybody with the almighty Triple Bypass Racing, the admins, the drivers. Man, it's a great group. You all do awesome broadcasting it too. Shout out to you all, and I can't remember who sponsored it, but man, great job on them too.
It was Matthew Robinson was our sponsor tonight.
Matt Robinson, all right. Yeah, he got good airtime, man. I seen him one time turn dead left in front of me down the backstretch, take the road course down there, and he held on to it and saved it. That was a hell of a good job. So, yeah, thanks to him for sponsoring it. Appreciate everybody involved.
Awesome, Chad. Congratulations on the win, man. We'll catch up with you at Texas.
All right, Brad. Thank you.
All right, Corey, and I think you've caught up with second place one, Mr. Timothy O'Connor.
Yes, Timothy O'Connor in that 119. You started 6th, and everyone kind of had an up and down day here today, but you found some speed and got yourself 2nd here to round things out here at Loudon. Kind of summarize your race for us, man.
Yeah, well, this is definitely not my favorite track or best track by any means. Fortunately, I was able to recover from some early incidents, use my fast repair at the right time. Fortunately, that I didn't take anybody else out when I made some mistakes, which is good, but just found a way to get up there.
Yeah, we saw last week at Nashville, obviously your guys' first race on the new build. Everyone seemed to have issues corner exit, and that still seemed to be the trouble spot here today, mainly off turn number 2. Was there anything that you kind of learned from Nashville that carried over that makes this car so difficult getting off these corners?
Yeah, you just got to be cautious. I feel like New Hampshire is kind of like that anyways. The groove really does matter where you're at. If you get a little bit too high or get on the gas a little bit too hard, it'll just loop right around on you, no saving it.
Yeah, man. Obviously, you had some issues, but you recovered from it. Now, next week, we head back to if you want to say normality, we go to Texas, a regular style intermediate. How do you think the car will race there? And how do you think you'll race there personally?
Try to get some practice in this week. I don't get to get on here a whole lot and make laps, but try to get some practice time early on Sunday, and I think it'll be a good race. There's definitely some good talent in this group, so excited for it. All
right, man. Well, we'll let you go and celebrate your good solid run here today, and we'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. And then rounding out our podium, the driver who had led well over 70 laps here today, but settles for a 3rd. Brad, if I can manage to move him, is with Ty Bass. Oh, he's already here.
And Ty with the On Edge Racing Camaro. Man, Ty, heartbreak here today in New Hampshire. Talk me through it.
Yeah, Chad just had a little bit more pace than I did. I was able to keep him behind me with the clean air, but I knew if he ever got by me, it was going to be nearly impossible to get back by him. So I did a two tire stop there on that caution and jumped him on track position and just kind of ran my right front off there, just trying to stay ahead of him. And I didn't have much to defend with there those last few laps.
Looking back on the race, Ty, I mean, great run, led so many of the laps through. Anything you would have done different to try to hold on to that win there at the end?
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like I wasn't getting enough of a jump on the starts as I would have liked to. I felt like when he could kind of predict the starts and get within 2/10, he was really able to play mind games and change the groove he was running to get runs and stuff and making me protect and get out of my rhythm. So just trying to find a way to get better in the launches and get better gaps.
How you feeling about next week at Texas? What are we thinking for this number 2?
I like Texas. Should be good. I'm surprised by our pace at New Hampshire because I've always struggled here. So I'm excited to go back somewhere more normal for me.
Awesome. Well, Ty, man, it was fun to watch you today. Unfortunate finish there in third, but such a great run through. Congratulations on the third place, and we'll catch up with you in Texas.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, and that'll wrap up our post-race show here, Brad. Obviously, a chaotic day here at Loudon. Not as much as last week. Our final take was 12, so slightly less than 16 there last week. Any final takeaways before we skedaddle?
I can't wait to see how these guys do on a 1.5 miles.
We'll see how it is with a multi-groove surface, higher speeds, and what these drivers will be able to do. But make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned. We'll be back live Tuesday night with the Area iRacing Series. Wednesday with Elbows Up. Thursday's more Area. They'll be back here Sunday with some more Triple Bypass. That'll be Corey and Brad signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.
See you.